Good morning, Morgan. Good morning to any of Morgan's friends that are watching this video. In today's video, we're going to introduce you to the else-if statement. Okay, and because this is such a new concept, we're just going to have one example. But besides the else-if statement, we're also going to introduce to you a way of entering data into the program as it runs. And we'll talk about that later when we go and we look at the manual. Okay? So with that, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the manual. All right. Okay, let's start reading the manual.
Besides the while statement just introduced, Python uses the usual flow control statements known from other languages, with some twists. If statements. Perhaps the most well-known statement type is the if statement. For example, x equals int, input, please enter an integer. Please enter an integer, 42. If x less than 0.
Okay, so looking at the logic, I want you to look at these print statements and look at the strings, the hard-coded strings inside these statements. Okay, so they'll give you an idea of what's going on in the if statement. Okay, think of this as like a train, and depending on what's in a car on the train depends on which track you're going to go down. Okay, and right now with this if statement there are 4 different tracks. We can go here where it'll say print negative changed to 0. Here it'll say 0. If it goes down this track, it'll return single. And if it goes down this track, it'll return more. And in this example, it will, in fact, return more. Let's figure out why. Now, in the if statement, what we're doing is we're actually testing for 3 things, even though there are 4 tracks, because the 4th track is the track we go down if none of these things are true. Okay? Now, if the value of x is less than 0, we will change the value to 0, and then we will print, hey, man, this was a negative number. Okay? If it is equal to 0, then we'll go, oh, it's a 0. And if it's equal to 1, we'll go, oh, it's a single. And then we default. Okay? So if it's anything other than less than 1 or 0 or 1, this is going to happen. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and see that in the example. But let's go ahead and let's continue reading the manual and let it explain it what I just explained in its way.
There can be 0 or more elif parts, and the else part is optional. The keyword elif is short for else if, and is useful to avoid excessive indentation. An if, elif sequence is a substitute for the switch or case statements found in other languages.
Okay, hold on now. Did I stop it? Okay. In the document it says that this else part is optional. I don't think it is. The reason why is because the else is like a catch-all. It helps you write better code so that you don't have a flaw in your logic and the frickin' code just fall through the bottom of the hole. Okay, like for instance, if we didn't have this else statement, okay, we put in something other than less than 1 or 0 or 1, the program would return nothing. Do you see what I'm saying? So in my opinion, you always use the else statement to catch anything in case you've, in case you haven't thought the problem through correctly. That way, you don't nothing horrible happens to your code. Anyway, with that, we're going to go ahead and run the example. And we're back to the code. Now, unfortunately, because of the way this situation is set up, you can see the code, but you can't see the output. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a few examples. You're not going to be able to see what I'm doing, but I'll describe it for you. So what I'm doing now is I'm hitting the start button, and that will start the program. Now, you don't see it, but an interactive screen pops up, and it's black. And what it says is, it says example 1, please enter an integer. So I'm going to enter 0, 1. I'm going to hit enter. Oh no, negative changed to 0. All right, now we're going to pause the video for just a second so I can save that. Okay, let's see if this works. Okay, please enter integer. Negative 1. Negative. Change to 0. Press enter to continue. All right. What a pleasant surprise that was. Okay, so apparently I can show you what's going on with the interactive screen. Now, all right. So what we're going to do is now we're going to put in 0. Hit the 0. Hit the enter button. Oh, it's 0. Press enter key, and this will end the program. Now, what I'm going to do is I don't like the fact that there's no space between the please enter line and the 0 line. So I'm going to add that to the code before we run this again. All right. All right. Now, before we run the program again with the next example, I want to add a blank line. And as you know, we do that by putting this statement in somewhere. Now, if I put this inside the code, I'd have to put it in like 4 times, okay, down each track. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that blank line in before it gets to the switch, which means right here. So with that little extra tidbit, let's go ahead and see if this how this works. All right, let's get back to entering things. All right, so we're running the program. The program is waiting for us to tell it what to do. And this time we're going to put in a 1 and see what happens. Oh, look, we got our little blank line. Isn't that great? And look, it went down the single track. All right, excellent. And with that, let's go to the next example, which is going to be anything other than those 3 examples. All right. Okay. So let's see what happens if we put in a different number. The manual says 42. Let's put in 42. More. Well, what if we put in a 2? More. What if we put in an 89? More. All right. Now, I think you've got it. Now, let me show you how I managed to get that thing to enter 3 times. Okay, I just did it just to show you because I got tired of jumping back and forth. But I'll show you what I did. All right. All right. Well, that completes the tutorial for today. But I want to show you something that as an example of what you should never do. Any real programmer will frickin' rage if he saw you do this. Okay, so what I did, because I wanted to actually run the program 3 times, is I just copied and pasted the code 3 times so it would run over and over again, and which is, more code bad. You always want to achieve your goal with the least amount of code. So what I should have done is just should have wrapped this whole thing into a loop, okay, and done it that way. But because I'm lazy, I didn't do that, okay? And maybe one day I'll show you how to do that, but not today, because I'm planning on going to the pool in a couple hours, and I want to be able to, screw off until then. Anyway, Princess, enjoy your day, and we'll see you in the next video.